The only thing that the left has going for it at all, one thing, is Zohran Mamdani. And so AOC decided to offer her commentary regarding this issue on Capitol Hill. But again, she does it in the same light as one would do when it comes to politics, playing politics, and this is why she's not a real leader. She'll have a lot of support, for sure. But this type of commentary is the type of politics that people just don't want to play anymore.
We have a Democratic nominee. Are we a party that rallies behind our nominee or not? And I believe, as a person who has rallied, I supported Joe Biden when he was the nominee.
Why is that something that you want to brag about? It's not. Why are there people in the GOP that freely admit that they don't support Donald Trump, who has a hell of a lot more influence and power than Joe Biden ever did? What is the point of saying, oh, I totally supported Joe Biden. I totally supported Kamala Harris. What is that getting you? I'm still trying to understand this rationalization. Maybe if we supported the Democratic corporate nominee 5 times in a row, maybe they'll give us one of ours who's not a corporate whore. Attempting to play that game is so old and sad. And this is supposed to be the so-called leader of the younger generation of Democrats. This lady. We supported the corporate ones, so why won't they support our non-corporate ones? Because the Democratic Party is the corporate party. The Republicans are too. But the Democrats have proven time and again. Just look at our clip a little earlier of David Pakman. They are not going to change no matter how hard you simp on their ass. You can never suck them off hard enough to get them to change their course of action. But she has more to say.
Was not my preferred candidate in the primary. I, of course, supported Vice President Harris for the president.
And she was working nonstop for that ceasefire. Let me tell you, have you ever apologized for that statement? Have you ever said, you know what, I really fucked up by saying that Kamala Harris was going to be better on Israel than Donald Trump? Guess what? They did a poll about a month ago just to prove, despite all the shit that Trump has thrown at us for the past several months, if you had to do the election again, how would you vote? Trump still wins by 3 points.
Because I am a Democrat, and what we do is...
You goddamn right you are a Democrat. You couldn't make that more clear if you tried. And the people who still want to support her cannot and will not accept that she let you down. And you know what? You're no fucking better than someone who is a completely blind Trumper, who doesn't want to accept that Donald Trump was never your friend. We're totally saving this country. No, we're not. He was saving himself and creating a whole new big network of support. There's somebody worth supporting. Shama Sawant. That's somebody worth supporting. If you guys have not seen our interview with Shama Sawant, please check it out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And honestly, we didn't even really talk a lot about her campaign for Congress. We talked about the impact of Peter Thiel and how much of a thorn in his side Shama Sawant really is. That's a leader. That's somebody who actually is on the right side of things.
That we use our primaries to settle our differences, and once we have a nominee, we rally behind that nominee. I am very concerned.
What about if your primary process is completely rigged to the hilt? Does that ever come into the equation? How can you possibly win a primary in the Democratic Party, especially for president, with both your arms and legs tied behind your back? How do you do it? I'm still waiting for the answer. I'm still waiting for the answer as to why you push support for the party when you have super delegates. How do you do it, Alex? You're not convincing anyone to join the party. No one. You're not convincing anybody. You're losing support every day. And again, the only reason you would talk this way, and again, I don't see Alex as a corporate whore. Chris Garrett, great to see you. Thank you. And guys, smash that like button if you haven't. you're just aiding and abetting the inevitable. You're making it so much worse. You do have the power. You have the influence. You could absolutely change course. But nope, she's not going to do it. She's got too many big plans on her mind. And that's what matters to Alex.
Concerned about the example that is being set by anybody in our party. I believe that we must set the example of supporting the party's nominee, because it complicates, if an individual doesn't want to support the party's nominee now, it complicates their ability to ask voters to support any nominee later, whether that is mayoral, presidential, what have you. And
that is something that she's actually right about. That is the first accurate statement that she said. Do I think that this is accelerating the demise of the Democratic Party by them throwing Zohran under the bus? Heck, even the DNC begrudgingly decided that they said, yeah, we support Zohran. Are they going to give him any help? No. But did they play politics and say, he's the nominee, we support him? Yes. But are the two most powerful Democrats in the entire country that happen to be in New York City supporting Zohran? Of course not. Jeffries is a total puppet. And we all know what Schumer is. He might as well be an agent of the Mossad. This is how it is. So is she right that this is going to cause a major rift in the party going forward? It is, but the party is already dying as it is. This is just going to accelerate it that much faster.
And so I think for the good of the party, we must put our differences aside and support our party's nominee.
It sounds as though you are frustrated, though, with Jeffries and Schumer for not publicly making a position on this yet.
No, I mean, I think that this isn't about personalities, right? I think that we're in a moment of a Trump administration. The stakes are high, and I want, of course, to see our party come together and stick together despite our differences. And that's how I feel about the matter.
As I said, she is going to do what she is going to do, which is continue to prove that for her, it is about a career. I don't want to downplay how big of an impact I believe that Zohran Mamdani will ultimately have if he is able to win. And I do think that it should go without saying, if you're going to run in the Democratic Party, you are going to have to make certain concessions. And it is unfortunate that that is what we are coming to at this point. I personally like Zohran. I think he has some good to offer. I don't want to completely throw him under the bus, as I think a lot of other people have chosen to do, that he is not worthy of support. I don't buy that. I think he deserves to be given an opportunity since he hasn't sold out. But there are things that he will be doing that some people are going to be questioning. Colin, please check your phone. He had a rally earlier today in New York City. And yes, AOC was there. And yes, Bernie was there. And unfortunately, there are those people who see him acting in the vein that he's acting in and thinking that he is ultimately going to succumb to the pressure that everybody else does. Now, I haven't seen him rub elbows with the true scum of the Democratic Party establishment, but there is no question that he is playing right into their hands. He did a rally. He had a lot to say. But herein lies the rub if you choose to play within this circle. If he becomes the mayor and he is able to get one of his major policies passed. I personally am looking at the government run grocery store in each of the 5 boroughs. That's a big deal. Rent control could be a big deal. Public transportation could be a big deal. If he feels the need to go down this road, okay. There were several Zion Nazis that disrupted their rally today. But in reality, he's very popular. I just think if he's going to go down the road of supporting Bernie and AOC, who cannot get right on Palestine, and Zohran is right on Palestine, that's what hurts the most. You are the company you keep. So here's what he had to say earlier today.
And the reason that I began my speech in solidarity with PSC, can you all stand up if you're a PSC member? Can you stand up if you're a student of Berkeley College? What we have seen, and James, for a little dramatic effect, can I steal your hat? Thank you, James. Give it up for the head of the PSC, James Davis! Very large head.
Just don't have a very large ego. Say what you want. He's very good. He's very smooth, but he's very good. And people need to have something to hang on to. As I said, when you ask why people become big supporters of Nick Fuentes, Jen likes to say people need upper management. And perhaps this type of upper management is exactly what he needs. But I'm telling you, the more critical issue here is going to be what's going to happen in the UK with Jeremy Corbyn. In a parliamentary system, a true left party can rise and balance out the capitalism with some socialism. In the United States, we don't have that. We have a broken electoral system that is wholeheartedly corrupted, dishonest elections. That's how it is. And so people look to somebody like Zohran and say, lead us. We need somebody. We need somebody who cares about us. We can't think for ourselves. We can't do it ourselves. And I don't shame people who are not capable of hacking it on their own. I get it. It's very hard. But the vulnerable are always the ones who get the most taken advantage of. So I hope, I can only hope that this is something that he recognizes how much of a significant position he's in to cause positive change. If he sells out in any way, it'll come quick. I don't think he's one of those guys that'll just do it over time. We'll know right away if he's going to fight for those key issues, those 3 key issues that I mentioned. And if he wins with a mandate, he's got to get one of them. He's got to pick one, he's got to charge it, and he's got to get it. And if it's successful, maybe he can do another. But that's the task at hand. He has got to do one champion of working people type policy if he gets in a couple of months.
I wear this hat, and I say this in this moment, because the point that is being raised is that we are seeing faculty members who are facing not just discipline, but termination for the crime of expressing solidarity with the fight for Palestinian human rights. And I know.
Now, at this point, if he were to say something else, even hesitating, even slightly going in another direction on this issue of our time, that we would see cracks in the armor. And Bernie's sitting right there. And he knows that Zohran will say things that Bernie will not say. Clearly. But Zohran, if he was going to change on that issue, you would think he would change now. But he hasn't. That's the key.
That this is a repression that is not unique to Brooklyn College. It is a repression that extends even to the ways in which we choose when to send police officers onto college campuses. The incident around encampments here at Brooklyn College, the decision to surge officers into that site is one that leaves students less safe than they were before.
And that's the idea. The idea is to scare the shit out of them and make them as unsafe as humanly possible. Like I said, he's definitely playing the game. No question. No one is above it. But let's not forget. Saul, don't even think about it, brother. Don't even think about it. This man is on the verge of becoming the most powerful chief executive at the local level in the world. The chief executive of New York City. That is one hell of a job. So he's got a lot riding on his ass to get some stuff right and to walk that line. And Lord knows what type of pressure he's feeling and what type of threats he's getting.
And that is why I have said, as a mayor who will live up to Eric Adams, of all people, statement in 2021, that New Yorkers need not choose between safety and justice, that I will be committed to delivering actual safety, not to the use of the term as a means of repression. And so this commitment is one that I do not just make as a candidate, it is also one that I will fulfill as the mayor of this city.
Yeah, he's smooth, but he really knows what he needs to do. Mike, give Zohran a chance. That's all I ask. If he fucks up, we'll know pretty fast. And even if he's not your cup of tea in terms of political ideology, here's what I can assure you about him as it stands today, more than anything else. Until he proves otherwise, he has not sold us out to corporate special interests. The second he does that, he's finished. But that's what matters. And if anybody knows anything about living in New York City and how absolutely insane the cost of living is and the burden that has been put on working class New Yorkers, something's going to give. I don't want communism. So we better try something, and fast, or we're in big trouble. That is exactly why everyone should be on alert at all times. He's about as good as anybody I've seen come along since Bernie ran the first time in 2015. In fact, he is as good. I remember how good Trump was when he ran the first time. In terms of the engagement, he's the closest thing in a decade. There's no two ways about it. And you know what? We've seen enough and been through enough to know that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. But in the end, let's give him a shot. What else do we have going for us right now? Not much. but he's got a pretty good chance. And the fact that Trump and his cohorts are trying to get both Eric Adams, the current mayor, and Curtis Silva, the Republican nominee, to drop out and give them a job in the Trump administration, and then in turn rally behind Andrew Cuomo to become the mayor, you can see how desperate they are to knock him off. If they thought for any reason that they could control this guy, they wouldn't try this. They wouldn't even attempt it. They just say, all right, let him get in there. We'll deal with him once he's elected. They are pulling out all the stops to try to prevent this from happening. So I don't know what's going to happen. And frankly, I don't need to hear what Bernie has to say, because Bernie's already here. And I could tell you at the rally that happened in New York earlier today, I really do appreciate Zohran Mamdani, because he's going to take some pressure off of my back. And I don't have to be the person who is going to have to convince the American people that they can listen to me and feel inspired. Because I can't even say the word genocide of the Palestinian people. Because I still believe that the state of Israel has the right to defend itself. Well, you know what? Zohran don't talk in that language. And the fact that he said what he said at that rally, he's continuing to prove that he's willing to fight the good fight. I don't like this photo. I'm sure none of you guys like it either. But to me, I see him as the leader. If you think about it, you can kind of sense the energy in the picture. You sense that he understands not only his position, but he's also somebody who I think fully understands that he doesn't have to kowtow to anybody. And I would go so far as to say that if he does win, he is the de facto leader. He doesn't answer to Alex. He doesn't answer to Bernie. We'll see what he does. As I said, stay on alert. Don't assume the worst, but give him the benefit of the doubt. Until he lets us down, maybe he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Maybe he's not. We have not been proven that any of them are not. And since he seems to be the best of them, and what he has done, and I want to say this to the chat, to everybody who's been here tonight, and we've had a hell of a crowd. He's already won. He's already done more for all of us than anyone else could have ever hoped for when it came to striking a winning blow against the Zionist movement, against the Israel lobby. No one has done more than Zohran Mamdani. He changed the course of this country's trajectory when it came to Israel. So that in itself is a big deal. And so I give him a small grace period. I think he's earned it.